Big Ten ACC Challenge, where the future UNC freshman phenom Diamond DeShields takes on the present Nebraska's senior sensation Jordan Hooper. It's UNC Nebraska women's basketball next on ESPN3. And we welcome you inside Carmichael Arena. The Tar Heel fans getting ready for number 15 Nebraska and number 18 North Carolina as you're watching the ACC right here on ESPN3. Hello, everybody. Delighted to be with you. I'm Dean Linke along with Bobby Hundley. And Bobby, the Big Ten has never won this ACC Challenge, but I love this game because you've got the youth of North Carolina against the experience of Nebraska.
Yeah, the host Tar Heels feature the #1 recruiting class in the country, 4 outstanding first-year players, 3 of whom have already won ACC Rookie of the Week just a month into the season. Nebraska, a veteran club, they'll start 4 upperclassmen and a front line that'll start their 75th consecutive game together tonight.
Impressive. Let's go one-on-one and look at a couple key players that we talked about already. And, of course, we start with the UNC Tar Heels. Diamond DeShields, what a special player.
Yeah, DeShields, the #1 freshman in the country as a high school senior, the National Player of the Year. She's the leading scorer for this Tar Heel club and really just a dynamic scorer for the Tar Heels.
A future WNBAer, Jordan Hooper, fantastic for Nebraska.
Yeah, one of the all-time greatest players in Nebraska history, right up there with Maggie Lucas at Penn State as the top player in the Big Ten. She's a 2-time All-American, and she really makes this Nebraska team go.
Take a look here at the starting lineups. Nebraska comes in at 6-1, and we heard Bobby Hundley talk about it already. Those 3 players, 75 starts. Sample, Katie, and Hooper, they will be a force. Meanwhile, North Carolina, Diamond DeShields will not start. She received a technical foul in the last game, so just a protocol issue. She'll be in there right away. Alicia Gray and Jessica Washington, very good freshmen as well. Of course, the North Carolina Tar Heels are coached now by Andrew Calder. Sylvia Hatchell recovering from leukemia as you look at Andrew Calder, but good news from the front on Sylvia Hatchell.
Yeah, Coach Hatchell came over to the Carmichael this afternoon during the Tar Heels shoot-around. She addressed the team. She's in good spirits. She feels like her numbers are good. Health-wise, she's excited to get back as soon as possible, but in the meantime, Andrew Calder is running the show for the Tar Heels.
They've been together forever. You feel like everybody's pulling for Coach Hatchell. How about this coach, Connie Yori? What an amazing job she's done at Nebraska, building this team into one of the best in the country.
Yeah, National Coach of the Year a few years back. Really has turned Nebraska into a national program that is able to compete at the highest level.
All right, we're getting ready to jump it up here. The Tar Heels in white, Nebraska in red, and we are underway. Delighted to be with you here for the 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge. UNC and Nebraska, Roundtree. We'll play it quickly. Now here's Washington. The freshman has started some games here for North Carolina. And really, Bobby, as this first shot comes up, it's short. The Tar Heels have switched their lineup quite a bit.
Yeah, they really have yet to land on that ideal starting 5, but right there with McDaniel getting the early putback.
Xylina McDaniel, the daughter of Xavier McDaniel, and of course Diamond DeShields, the daughter of former Major League Baseball star Delino DeShields. Pretty good connections here with those 2 players for sure, Bobby.
Yeah, and her DeShields' mom was an all-star track standout in college as well, so really pretty solid gene pool there.
Terrio with a little leaner, gets it down low. Katie is fouled, and she'll go to the line and shoot 2. The Tar Heels on top, 2-0.
This will be something to keep an eye on all night. The Tar Heels really foul prone early in the season, 320th in the country in fouls committed. The Cornhuskers, on the other hand, 5th fewest fouls committed in the entire NCAA.
Washington with the foul, the first on the Tar Heels. Emily Katie comes in, the junior, averaging 14.3 and 9.6 rebounds a game. So you think about Jordan Hooper, she gets a ton of pub at 20 and 10, but Katie right there with her, Bobby.
Yeah, to have a duo like that you're basically getting a double-double every night out of is just a tremendous weapon.
Tara Laudermill putting some pressure on Washington, and Laudermill's been inserted in the starting lineup about 4 games ago, and This looks to be the 5 here for Nebraska. Connie Yori also did a great job at Creighton, her alma mater. This one a little too strong. They battle for it. Nebraska will get the rebound. They like to push. Out with it, here's Sample. Sample will drop it quickly to Katie. Out to Terrio. Terrio with the shot. Not quite on target, and that wasn't Terrio, rather that was Laudermill. Sample, back to Katie, and here's Hooper. Hooper's first shot, little strong. Rebound, Mavunga. And Stephanie Mavunga, you talked about that #1 recruiting class. She's another key part of that.
Absolutely, really skilled post. Just a load inside for the Tar Heels, and just really talented. Washington gets the late call. She got bumped there by Loudermill. And again, the foul situation for both teams is something to keep an eye on all night.
Gray, now to McDaniel. Roundtree can play point guard. She doesn't mind posting up down low. We'll keep an eye out for that as Washington will stop and pop. This one's short. Both teams a little rusty as we get going here. Of course, North Carolina coming back from Cancun. Followed up a loss with an impressive victory over Illinois.
Yeah, both teams coming off of somewhat surprising losses to Pac-12 opponents. Nebraska last time out losing a real head-scratcher to Washington State at home, and the Tar Heels dropping that tough overtime loss to Arizona State down in Mexico.
Nebraska with some of the best fans in the country as well at Cornhusker Land. They've got that new arena, and fans love what they see for the men's and women's basketball programs at Nebraska. Here's Hooper after the block from Katie. Here's Terrio, marked by Roundtree. Hooper from 3, and nothing but the bottom of the net, and it's 5-2 Cornhuskers.
And that's where she's so dangerous, catching and shooting. She loves to let her teammates set up that shot so she can just catch and shoot. And when she gets just an inch, she's gonna fire.
Roundtree finds McDaniel. McDaniel's got one bucket, looking for another one. She'll get fouled and go to the line.
Nice aggressive take there by McDaniel. One dribble and keeping the ball high, straight to the rim. Yeah, you see it again. Really confident take, and if she can get to the line and knock some shots down, she can be a real weapon for the Tar Heels.
McDaniel comes in, 10.5 points per game, almost 6 rebounds per game as the first foul shot short. First up, and we said it, Diamond to Shields. Wouldn't take long, and she's in there for Roundtree. Washington will also come out.
Yeah, a lot of size on the court for both teams right now. Is really only a couple of players under 6 feet tall on the floor.
Latifah Coleman checks in with Diamond to Shields. Hooper. There is no shot she doesn't like, and even with a hand in her face, another 3 for Hooper, and the Cornhuskers out to a 6-point lead.
You see DeShields tap herself on the chest as if to say, I knew that was happening. I knew that if I give her that opening, she's going to take it.
Gray will switch it over to Coleman. Coleman drives in with the left, drops back over to Shields for a shot, and she nails it, 8-4.
It's a nice start for DeShields to get that first bucket down and maybe get some offensive flow coming off the bench.
Jeffrey is into the game. The little teardrop by Terrio, and 10-4 Nebraska. Coleman back over to DeShields. She'll take a 3, and DeShields, she can shoot it.
Completely in rhythm there, nothing forced about that 3, and we might be in store for a high-scoring night if these two dynamic forwards keep going like this.
DeShields down in Cancun averaged 23 points for the 3 games and is your reigning ACC Player of the Week. Jeffrey will take a 3, and Bobby Hundley just said it could be a barn burner. First couple minutes a little rusty. Now these teams can't miss.
Yeah, the Huskers already 3 or 4 from behind the arc, and that's where they're so dangerous because they've got 5 players on the floor who aren't afraid to hoist it.
Rebound quickly here now by Brandy Jeffrey. She'll push it. 5'7" junior guard, and another bound from Hooper. That's her 3rd 3, and a timeout for Andrew Calder and North Carolina.
Yeah, that's 9 now for Hooper. And really you don't want to let that rhythm that she's already gotten herself into snowball if you're North Carolina. So Andrew Calder going to get a timeout and just try to settle everybody down.
We'll come back with more. Nebraska on top, North Carolina 16-7, the Big Ten ACC Challenge on ESPN3. Nebraska Cornhuskers like what they see here. Three-pointers coming from the talented senior Jordan Hooper, and she's been deadly behind the arc.
And she's such a matchup nightmare for anybody because with her size, she's going to bring a taller player away from the basket. When she's knocking down threes like this, she's just about unguardable.
So coming out of the first TV timeout, it's Nebraska 16 and North Carolina 7. North Carolina, such a young team. Nebraska, as we mentioned, those three forwards making their 75th consecutive start together, and it's Coleman over to Gray. Gray with that left-handed shot, a little bit too strong. McDaniel, great rebound, drops it off to Shields. Looked like she walked. They'll give it to her, and a leader by DeShields. And boy, we highlighted DeShields and Hooper, and they are delivering.
Absolutely. You saw some bodies go down, and really, I think everybody forgot about the player with the ball, DeShields, and she was able to take the uncontested floater.
DeShields with 7 of the 9 points, and DeShields pressuring. Jeffrey flicks it a little bit. And they'll call the foul, reaching around on Jeffrey. Second team foul on the Tar Heels.
Yeah, you see DeShields just trying to make a play here, trying to pick the pocket. And, you know, she's had a little bit of trouble with foul trouble early in the season. She's already fouled out of 3 games. So the Tar Heels need her on the floor if they're going to win this one.
Havers took that pass right underneath the basket, had a strip. DeShields again, this time not quite there. Rebound by Nebraska. They'll push it the other way. Here's Brandy Jeffries. Look good off the bench here for Coach Yori. Terrio, strong air ball. And Mavunga will play it out quickly to Coleman. Coleman's got Gray on the left. McDaniel right in front of her. She wanted to get McDaniel the whole way. She does. McDaniel with a great drop step and in.
Yeah, you can see there Hooper a little bit more comfortable out on the perimeter. And just the easy drop step for McDaniel, and Hooper just lets her go.
Hooper thought about shooting that one 4 feet beyond the arc. Will pass it up. Drops it to Terrio. Now back to Hooper. Second time she'll shoot it. Hand in the face. She shows no fear.
Yes, you know, her game is a little different, but it reminds you somewhat of former Delaware star Elena Deladon in that she is not afraid to really fire from anywhere.
They compare her to the NBA side with Kevin Durant, a big, tall player that doesn't mind popping threes all night long, but will go in if she needs to. Speaking of going in, Mavunga will lower the shoulder. I believe they'll call that one on the floor, Bobby.
Yeah, and that's something you're really going to see a lot more of in the women's game this year. A lot of rule changes, and really not even changes, just changes in emphasis to try to free up the game. There's a lot of complaints, and Sylvia Hatchell was as vocal as anybody about freeing up the movement, especially in the post, freeing up the ball handler to make plays, because some of these games were the scoring was low. They were getting bogged down with a lot of just physicality that was making the game hard to watch.
Here's Coleman, the junior. Coleman back to her right. Leaner short, rebound underneath the Shields. A little bit too strong. Another rebound here as checking into the game for North Carolina is Erica Johnson, a transfer from Cal. Roundtree's back in. Here's Johnson. Johnson at the elbow, a little bit short. Johnson gets about 9-10 minutes a game, Bobby.
Yeah, she's a player that comes off great work rate, ability to just go in there, get rebounds. Not much of a scorer, but really just hard-working player and a good player to spell Mavunga and McDaniel when they're just needing a blow.
Roundtree trying to go one-on-one. This will be out of bounds, turnover, Tar Heels.
A little bit of an awkward lineup for the Tar Heels right now, especially offensively. Not really a true post offensive player in the game right now.
And Katie, 6'2" junior, comfortable bringing the ball up the court. Laudermill. Terry will drop it back to Laudermill. Laudermill's got the lane. Can't finish at the hoop as Bryant comes over to check back defensively. On the fast break to Shields, first step. Always attacks. Little dipped her shoulder. Felt like she got fouled. Doesn't get the whistle. Nebraska will go the other way. Terrio on the attack. Underneath, wide open. Katie could not believe how wide open. She went with the pump fake anyway, and nobody was there.
Yeah, some miscommunication there. I think Johnson was worried about Loudermill being open on the perimeter, went out, and Katie was wide open. Right on cue, McDaniel and Mavunga back to the scorer's table to check in.
Coleman, air ball. Shields try to come up with a rebound. Knocked away there, though, by Rachel Terrio, the 6' sophomore guard. Good look at Diamond Shields. Came in as the National High School Player of the Year, and she's delivered.
Yeah, really just an elite talent and the kind of player that can change a program, and I think that's the hope here in Chapel Hill, that she can take North Carolina back to the level they were late in the 2000s, making multiple Final Fours.
Jessica Washington with the leaner and the left hand. Jessica Washington, you can tell with every game, calling her one of the most improved players here among the four freshmen as they've rolled along here, Bobby.
Well, and that's the one position as a true freshman. It's most difficult to come in and make that high school to college transition at point guard because the game is so different.
Nebraska by 5. Laudermill was outside the three-point line and give him 3 more here.
Yeah, the step back 3 from a player who's 4 of 17 from behind the arc on the season. That's, you know you're living right if you're a Nebraska fan, and McDaniel answers. That's really an aspect of her game that has materialized in her sophomore season, really a true post player as a freshman, and really seeing a lot more action behind the arc this year.
Katie dropped her shoulder there and is called for the foul, and it's Nebraska 21, North Carolina 16, part of the 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge right here on ESPN3. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. The Nebraska Cornhuskers leading North Carolina by a score of 21-16, and Andrew Calder filling in for arguably his best friend as well, Sylvia Hatchell. Has been with Sylvia for 28 years. What a relationship those two have.
Yeah, really just as close a pair of coaches you'll see anywhere at any level. You know, the first person she called when she got the job at UNC was Andrew Calder. She knew that she wanted him to help her build a program, and for 28 years they've been side by side. And I know he's excited to be an acting head coach for the first time in his career, but not in any way, shape, or form would he ever imagine it'd be under these circumstances. So he feels like this is still Sylvia Hatchell's team, and he will just continue to coach it the way she would.
Well said, Bobby Hundley. Washington over to McDaniel. McDaniel, who popped it earlier, and it was almost like a play-action play by hitting that three earlier. She pumps it and drives to the lane.
Yeah, you see really just denying the chance to dump it off, and I think Nebraska went with the idea that it was going to be the dump off, and she took it right to the rim.
Good back cut here by Terrio. Back over to Laudermill. Stolen away. Here come the Tar Heels the other way. And Butts with the steal and the layup. It's 21-20.
Butts such an incredible athlete. Really has given this team a spark. She started the season out of commission. She had a knee bruise and was really unavailable for about a month of the preseason, but really just a spark, especially on the defensive end for this team.
Haley Sample not on target, will go out of bounds. And the Tar Heels have pulled back within one. Hooper, who was on the bench just for a brief spell, will come right back in for Coach Connie Yorey. What a job Yorey has done with the Cornhuskers, as Bobby talked about, National Coach of the Year just a few years ago. What a drop step, but a travel. Too many steps there for Mavunga.
It looked like she just dragged her pivot foot there at the end. But you're right, Coach Yorey has really just turned Nebraska into a contender. And with the new arena down there in Lincoln, you know, the fans are excited. They've got really a beloved superstar in Jordan Hooper. You know, she's the person that is the face of that program.
And there's Hooper's shot not on target. She's got 3 rebounds already coming into this game. Hooper just needed 15 points to catch Deborah Powell at number 8. And it was just 15 rebounds away from becoming only the 3rd player in Nebraska history with 1,800 points and 900 rebounds. She's got 3 of them already.
And that's something that's unique about her, because sometimes when you have these...
Another steal here by Butts. It's her 2nd steal. Her layup not on target, though. And
yeah, sometimes you see these posts that are more comfortable around the perimeter, and they don't like to mix it up and get rebounds. But she's averaging over 10 a game. You know, one of the most prolific rebounders in the history of the program. So she's not afraid to mix it up and do the dirty work as well as shoot the 3.
Foul down low. I believe they called Hooper for backing in. It's the first foul on Hooper. 5 team fouls now on Nebraska.
Yeah, advantage to North Carolina early in the foul situation. Just 2 team fouls on the Tar Heels to 5 for Nebraska. And that's something that the Tar Heels, if they can keep all their players on the floor and not give away easy points to Nebraska at the foul line.
Bad pass by Butts, intercepted by Katie. Nebraska going the other way. Good job by Roundtree to slow down the fast break of the Cornhuskers. Terrio, good crossover, little leaner off the bank and in. And Nebraska back on top by 3.
Smart by Hooper there. She found a mismatch with Washington on her, took her to the basket that allowed really the whole lane to be open for Terrio to drive.
Top of the key, McDaniel. Good cut by Roundtree. Roundtree, again, not afraid to post up. She's got a bigger player on her now in Sample, though. So that won't be easy. Here's Washington. Washington dropped it to Mavunga. Mavunga immediately when she gets it, she's going strong, and it's the and one for Mavunga.
You see Coach Yorey on the sideline telling her defenders, stay vertical, don't lean over. That's going to get a call every time. And Mavunga using that little drop step fadeaway, and just as smooth as you like.
We talked about the future of North Carolina. The future of Nebraska will check in here. Number 22, Allie Havers, the freshman, 6'5", shot here by Mavunga, trying to finish the and one. Not on target, though, and Nebraska just with a 1-point lead. Terrio, top of the key, marked by McDaniel. North Carolina primarily man-to-man defense. Rarely do you see anything else. Nebraska, they'll change it up all day long when they get on defense. We'll have Bobby talk a little bit more about that. Here's Terrio. Katie wanted it. Good fake. A little bit strong there, though, by Jeffrey, and rebound to Shields. DeShields was on fire when she came off the bench. We mentioned she did not start the game, had a technical foul in the game against Illinois. No major deal at all. DeShields short on the three, but it's protocol. Got to sit.
Yeah, you see Nebraska's only sending 2 to the offensive glass right now, trying to counteract that athleticism of North Carolina, prevent those fast break opportunities. And so far they've been successful in that. The bad news is that if you're missing those outside shots, which they have been the last few minutes, you're not getting a lot of second chance opportunities.
Sample. Jeffrey thought about it. Will drop it to Terrio. Terrio behind the line and not on target. And once again, both teams going cold here now, Bobby. We're going to step aside here. North Carolina within 1. It's Nebraska 23, UNC 22. Welcome back inside Carmichael Arena. Looking at the Tar Heel pep band, and the North Carolina Tar Heels have come back. Nebraska with just 2 points in the last 4 minutes, and Carolina's clawed back within 1.
Yeah, really a pretty ideal start for the Tar Heels, with the exception of the fact that Nebraska is 5 of 10 from 3. That built that early 9-point lead, and they've been able to hold on, but the UNC defense has really clamped down of late, not giving up really any second chance opportunities, and they're clawed within 1.
Jordan Hooper with 9 to lead Nebraska. It's Xylina McDaniel with 9 to lead the Tar Heels. McDaniel able to stop out, hit the 3, and that drew the defenders out. I love the drive after the 3.
Absolutely. When she's able to show that dimension to her game where she can pull a player away from the basket and then attack, she's really just becomes a much more dangerous player.
Good look a moment ago at Connie Yori. 12th season at Nebraska, 24th season overall, comes in at 416 and 276 for Sylvia Hatchell, the Hall of Famer, her 28th season. And you get the feeling not only does Tar Heel fans wish her well, everybody in college basketball does. McDaniel now with 11 to lead all scorers here, and North Carolina's taking the lead.
And those last 2 takes by Mavunga set that play up because she drew really a hard double team. Used her awareness to find McDaniel for the easy layup.
Mavunga showing some good defensive presence on Katie. Mavunga sliding her feet. I like the defensive work by the young freshman. Katie lowers the shoulder. She did that before and got called for the foul. Now the turnover as we talk about the youth of the Tar Heels, the experience of Nebraska. Roundtree will drop it to Washington. Back into Mavunga. Mavunga looked like she lowered her shoulder, but they don't give the whistle to Havers, and it's the Tar Heels' first lead since 2-0 a moment ago. Now they add to it up by 3. Terrio thought she walked, but before she walked, she got pushed, and they'll give it to DeShields.
Yeah, that's 2 on DeShields, and you wonder if she'll sit down for a little bit. Hooper on the bench for Nebraska at the moment, so really a chance for UNC to maybe extend this lead with Hooper off the floor, but you certainly don't want DeShields to get that 3rd foul with 6 minutes left to go here in the first half.
Yeah, Hooper also with 2 personal fouls, so fouls playing a key role in the 2 players we spotlighted to start the show here as part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge. North Carolina and Nebraska a little later in the first half. We'll have Bobby Hunley talk about the other games going on in this challenge.
And at the moment you see Nebraska really struggling to find an option because Hooper is such a big part of their offense.
Havers knocks Washington off the ball, and now Havers will get the foul.
And coming in, Hooper had taken 116 of Nebraska's 408 field goal attempts, close to 28% of the bulk of the shooting, and really searching for answers right now with her on the bench with a pair.
DeShields has 2's, got to be careful. Drops it again to McDaniel. She's been tough down low. She'll get the whistle. Foul on Terrio, and McDaniel will shoot 2.
Yeah, McDaniel finding a mismatch there. The point guard Terrio, who's got the size to play defense in the post, but certainly if you're Nebraska, that's not who you want defending McDaniel. And McDaniel able to get enough contact to draw the foul, and she'll go back to the line. Only play she's missed tonight.
This time she makes it, and North Carolina proves that lead now on to 4. Well, we talked about the youth of North Carolina, the senior leadership, veteran leadership in Nebraska. North Carolina looks like they've settled in here.
Yeah, they've seemed really poised after that flurry of 3-point attempts from Nebraska early on. The Tar Heels have really just sort of put in a business-like approach the last few minutes to take control of this first half.
Laudermill, number 1, is back in. Here's Haley Sample, averaging 6 and 6 points and rebounds a game. Terrio just whistled for that foul moments ago, handles the rock. Katie. Terrio marked by McDaniel. 2 strong rebound Tar Heels, 4 white jerseys attacking the ball, and they'll go the other way. Here's Gray. Gray, left-hander, nice little leaner. Was bumped as well, didn't get the whistle, but got the bucket.
And you saw Terrio had to back off the last minute there. She knows with Hooper off, already in foul trouble, she can't risk getting another one.
Push there by Mavunga. And Mavunga will get the foul on Katie.
Just one on Mavunga, and nice move by Katie to get the space. Mavunga just a little bit of a hip check, and again, they're gonna that size up touch is still allowed. They're gonna let you put your hand on it just to size up the offensive player, but once you put your hand back on it, that's gonna be an automatic foul every time.
Prior to that basket, the Tar Heels were on a 14-2 run, and now Nebraska has pulled it back to within 5. Washington. As you see now, Nebraska kind of going to a zonal man-to-man, switching off. Even at the top of the key, they'll do all kinds of defense strategies here for Nebraska.
And DeShields not happy with that call. She really felt like she maintained that pivot foot before she put the ball on the floor, but the official's not agreeing there. You see it here. She pumped a hard pump fake, and yeah, it did look like she moved that left foot before she put the ball on the floor, so probably a good call there. The Heels is still up 5.
Laudermill. Now into the game is Sadie Murrin. Good back cut there by Terrio, but handled by Washington. Gray almost pushed Katie. She'll drop it back out. Here's Murrin into the game. Way too strong. Lots of air balls here in the first half. DeShields attacks the basket and finishes. And that is the quality we were talking about that made her the National High School Player of the Year. Katie underneath, another pump fake. And that pump fake cost her. It'll go out of bounds, though, off North Carolina. And what a drive by the freshman phenom, Diamond DeShields, on the attack, giving North Carolina a 32-25 lead. North Carolina in the huddle, and Diamond DeShields, the young freshman, has been dynamic.
Yeah, you saw in that last play before the break her ability to just travel so far in only 2 steps. I mean, she basically went from the elbow to the rim in 2 steps, and I mean you just can't teach that. For her to be able to change directions at full speed and get to the hole is really impressive.
Meanwhile, for Nebraska, Jordan Hooper with those 3 threes, but she got the 2 fouls and has played limited minutes, and that has really changed the complexion of this game.
Yeah, it really has, because she is such a big part of their offense, and Terrio now having to take a little bit more. I mean, for her to take 6 shots already is kind of unheard of for her. So she's really naturally a pass-first point guard. So they're looking for answers right now, and they're having trouble finding them.
And Hooper still on the bench. Another turnover for Nebraska.
It's 2 on Loudermill now, and 9 against the Cornhuskers. So they'll be, after this 1-and-1 from, I believe it's going to be Gray, it's going to be 2 shots the rest of the way. And you just wonder how long Coach Yorey is going to let Jordan Hooper sit on the bench, and how big this Carolina league's got to get before they get their superstar back in the game. Gray as a player, as a freshman or as a senior in high school, was injured, so she wasn't on any of these McDonald's list or Wooden list. And Sylvia Hatchell would tell anybody that wanted to listen, and even some that didn't want to listen, that she's just as good as these other 3. And just because you're not seeing her name on these All-American lists, watch out. And she's shown it here early in the season. She had 30 against UCLA.
Great pass by Terrio, and tracking all the way back. A brilliant defensive play there by North Carolina. You talk about Gray, and how about the work right there?
Right on cue to make up that ground, but under control. You see, gets that left hand up, not out of control, not flying at the Nebraska player, and able to make a clean block.
Sample drops it back to Terrio. Terrio feeling all kinds of pressure, and stolen away by Gray. Back to Washington. Washington has the lane. Terrio did a good job trying to cut it off, but what a finish there by Washington. Part of that Fab 4 freshman class here for Sylvia Hatchell. The North Carolina Tar Heels now up by 9. Dropped underneath, out of bounds. Another turnover for Nebraska. Their 9th turnover here in the first half.
Yeah, Terrio really struggling. Gray has given her a really hard time. You got to figure at 6 feet, she's used to being the biggest point guard on the floor, but when Gray's out there guarding her at close to 6'2", that's a real challenge.
So North Carolina up by 9 has forced 9 turnovers for Nebraska. Here's McDaniel.
And Nebraska, I think Connie Yorey would prefer to play man-to-man, but she knows with this personnel, she's got to throw everything but the kitchen sink at North Carolina, and right now they're struggling to find an answer.
Here's Gray, too strong. Great work defensively. The shot not quite there here tonight. Terrio, marked by Washington. Sample. Senior sensation Jordan Hooper with 3 threes, has 2 fouls. Those been on the bench for several minutes for Coach Yorey. The Tar Heels with the rebound. They kick it out quickly. Washington, she'll attack it. Little leaner again, and Washington finishing around the bucket. 6 points now for number 24, Washington.
And you figure it's only a matter of time before Hooper gets the call, because right now this is threatening to get away from Nebraska. It's a 16-2 run for the Heels over the last 6.5 minutes. You can see her just trying to plead with her team, as it really doesn't seem like anybody is confident enough to want to take a shot right now on the offensive end.
Andrew Calder likes what he sees here by Diamond DeShields.
Yeah, just that hard right pivot to free yourself up for the space. And then Washington is really impressed. Her ability to finish at full speed is something that you just can't teach. And there at the end, that hard right pivot just frees up enough space, creates enough separation from the defender that she's able to finish clean.
Nebraska with just 4 points in the last 9 minutes. The Tar Heels on a 20-4 run, and they lead it by 11. 2 minutes left here in the first half. The 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge. Sample with a pump fake. And this one will fall in, as you mentioned, Hooper back in there.
Yeah, Yorey just really realizing that she can't afford to get any further behind going into the break, and Hooper immediately is the focal point and knocks one down.
North Carolina going back to their bench now and dropped again underneath, and the Tar Heels answer right back.
Yeah, 15 points already for McDaniel, who's really just having a field day inside right now.
Hooper will lose it. Great pressure by McDaniel. Gray is there. McDaniel wants to finish. She's got 17, and she'll go to the line for 18.
She's really taking this game over right now. Hooper clearly going to shoot the ball if she gets a chance, and active hands for McDaniel to create the turnover and then finish it off all the way. Just absorbs the blow, finishes, and it's all coming up Tar Heels right now.
The 6'2" sophomore McDaniel looking for point number 18. Too strong. Rebound though, Roundtree. She'll lose it out of bounds. And McDaniel saying, hang on, we're not just about freshmen.
Absolutely, one of only 2 returning starters to this group, and she's been the best player on the floor tonight.
Her career high is 25, and she is just 8 points away with still a minute left here in the first half.
Mismatch, Hooper guarded by Roundtree in the post, but they can't find her.
Foul there by Butts. Butts came off the bench earlier with 2 quick steals, and that's what she does. So dynamic, so much energy off the bench for Andrew Calder.
Yeah, superstar track athlete in high school, multiple-time state champion, and really just a nightmare if you're a ball handler trying to just get space, because she can just cover so much.
Tar Heels up 12. Hooper back in there with the 2 fouls. And Hooper has 12 points for Nebraska. Terrio has 4. As Sample now gets her 4th point. And
that's what Nebraska needs, Sample, a very aggressive, confident take. You can see the Tar Heels sagging off, expecting the kick out to Hooper. Butts really marking Hooper everywhere she goes on the offensive end, but a nice strong take by Sample to finally just break up the Tar Heel just overwhelming run that's been going.
10 on the shot clock, 18 on the game clock. Washington, top of the key. Little pick and roll. Washington will drop it back to Gray. Gray comes in, and Gray lowered her shoulder, and she'll get called for the charge.
Yeah, Murrin just in place, takes the foul, and with 10.4 to go, you figure that Hooper's going to get the ball, and she's going to get the last shot if Nebraska has anything to say about it.
Hooper with almost 50% of the Cornhusker points. She's got 12 of the 30. Sample. Hooper right now marked by Butts. Over in the right corner. Dropped in. Katie Hooper's open. She'll lose it though. Butts with another steal and long half-court shot. A little bit too long, but Butts with another steal, and North Carolina on top of Nebraska by 10.
Yeah, good solid half from the Tar Heels, but Nebraska's still within striking range. They get Hooper back in the game just soon enough to keep this game from getting out of hand. She's only got 2 fouls, so she's got 3 more to give in the second half, so still all to play for.
At halftime here, it's North Carolina 40, Nebraska 30. It's the Big Ten ACC Challenge right here on ESPN3. The North Carolina Tar Heels on top of the Nebraska Cornhuskers. It's halftime here at Carmichael Arena. Dean Linke along with Bobby Hundley. And I'll tell you what, the Tar Heels young team bounced back when Hooper went to the bench, and they responded with a big run here.
Yeah, that was the key moment in the game when Hooper gets that second foul. Really their ability to just overwhelm Nebraska when the Huskers didn't have an option on offense.
And, of course, you highlight this freshman phenom, the Fab Four, I guess they're calling them here, and you take a look at it, Diamond DeShields. But how about Jessica Washington's been strong as well?
Absolutely, been really strong with the ball. And you look at that, I mean, 5 players in the top 25 of the ESPN rankings. And one of those would be a marquee player if you signed one. To get all 4, Coach Hatchell called it the greatest day in the history of women's basketball college recruiting. And I mean, you can see the impact they've already made on this program.
And you're hoping that's making Sylvia Hatchell feel good as she recovers from leukemia. We wish her all the best. They're going against the great veteran leadership, though, of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, as 3 of their players making their 75th consecutive start together, Hooper, Cade, and Sample.
Yeah, and that's something that you really you would have expected perhaps Nebraska to have a little bit of an advantage on the boards, but right now the Tar Heels out rebounding 18-15, staying out of foul trouble, and Hooper, she's got her 12, so she's on pace to get hers, but the rest of the team, nobody else on the team with more than 4 here in the first half.
Katie with 14.3 points a game has been trying to get down low, and Hooper with those 2 fouls. We'll come back with the stats and the highlights in just a little bit here from Carmichael with the Tar Heels on top of Nebraska 40-30. You're watching the 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge right here on ESPN3. Halftime here at Carmichael Arena. The North Carolina Tar Heels on top of Nebraska by 10, 40-30. Dean Linke along with Bobby Hundley, and we'll take a look here at the stats here after the first 20 from Carmichael. And North Carolina has been deadly here in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah, really just overwhelming performance from the field, but you see two numbers there that stick out. Just 2 free throw attempts for Nebraska. Nice job by the Tar Heels to keep from fouling, but 2 for 7 for the Tar Heels from the line. So you want to look at that, maybe a couple of points given away there by the Tar Heels, but the game has been played at the pace that the Tar Heels like. It's been up tempo. Right now it's advantage UNC.
As we roll to the highlights, the senior Jordan Hooper, one of the best players in the country, was deadly early, and she leads Nebraska with 12.
Yeah, and you see here in the early sequence, she's got that little bit of room. That's all she needs to take off. But with the Tar Heels clamp down on her, she gets that second foul, and then Diamond DeShields and Xylina McDaniel take over. DeShields just so natural with the ball. Really, this was the key play of the game where she just takes the ball coast to coast, and then McDaniel, 7 of 7 from the field in the half, 17 points. She's more than halfway to her career high, and she really dominated the post when Hooper came out of the game and just was the best player on the court for UNC.
McDaniel 7 for 7 from the floor, including a three-pointer that really opened it up. 2 for 5 from the foul line. The only discrepancy in her game here today, as you said, 25 points, her career high. Both teams back out here to start the second half. And Bobby, we talk about the youth of North Carolina, the experience of Nebraska, but when you're as good as these freshmen, it really does make you think of the Michigan Fab Five. Those players were ready to play the day they walked into Ann Arbor, and you're starting to get the feeling with this young team here from North Carolina.
And you grow up fast. I mean, when you're expected to play the first day you're on campus, and these 4 freshmen were, you're not a freshman for long. You're only a freshman in name after a while, and they've been really poised tonight and have looked like the veteran club. And McDaniel, who as a sophomore is a veteran for this team, has really steadied the team, really been somebody that can take the ball, can take the game over. And right now, Nebraska's got to find a way to neutralize McDaniel and get Hooper back going the way she was to start this game. And they've also got to find somebody to complement Hooper, because when she was out of the game for that long stretch, really nobody stepped up to be that second option.
McDaniel, as you look at it there, 17 points, also 5 boards and a steal. And I'll tell you, turnovers have been a key as well. The defensive pressure from North Carolina, doesn't matter who they throw out there. Off the bench, Andrew Calder's substitutes have really been strong defensively.
Yeah, 2-to-1 turnovers to assists for Nebraska, which is the exact opposite of what you want. But the Tar Heels have only turned it over 6 times, and they've got 8 assists on those 18 made baskets. And Andrew Calder will be pleased with his performance, especially that last 12 minutes, but he'll realize that Nebraska is very much in striking range. Hooper's back on the floor. She's only got 2 fouls, and this first 4-minute period coming out of halftime will be crucial to see if this game just continues to go the way of the Tar Heels, or if Nebraska can stick around, because with a veteran club, they're not going to think they're out of this game until it's over.
Connie Yori, what a job she's done at Nebraska coming out of halftime. You figure they'll have an answer with all that experience as well.
Yeah, Terrio was the player who sort of tried to fill that void when Hooper was off the floor, and that's just not natural for her as more of a pass-first point guard. She was 2 of 6 from the field, just 4 points. She did have those 3 assists and just 1 turnover, but she had to play all 20 minutes of that first half with Hooper in foul trouble, and just the ability of Hooper to be out there to take some of the pressure off makes such a difference. And then, like I said, if they can find that second scoring option, right now nobody with more than 4 other than Hooper's 12.
Nebraska comes into this game, number 15 team in the country, 6-1, but coming off a tough and rare loss at home, 72-76 to Washington State. The Tar Heels come in at 6-2 after an impressive win over Illinois, but as you mentioned, they suffered a loss out in Mexico as well to a Pac-12 team.
Yeah, and they've been on the road a lot for them early in the season. Those 3 games in Mexico, they had a 1-game trip to the West Coast to play UCLA.
Katie with a great give and go from Terrio, and Nebraska comes out with 2 points here to start the second half. It's North Carolina 40, Nebraska 32 as we start the second half on ESPN3. Delighted you're with us.
And already a turnover for the Tar Heels, something they did not do much in the first half. And you figure that Katie was probably the subject of a lot of Coach Yori's talk in the halftime locker room. And there's Hooper again, just everybody looking a little bit more aggressive from Nebraska. Didn't get the shot to fall there, but a good start 35 seconds in for the Big Red.
Other games going on here tonight in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Michigan State's at Florida State. Illinois is at Georgia Tech. Ohio State is at number 8 Maryland. Virginia Tech's at Indiana. Number 4 Notre Dame. And number 10 Penn State. Another matchup going on at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah, and we mentioned Jordan Hooper as one of the 2 best players in the Big Ten. Maggie Lucas at Penn State, probably the other strong contender for Player of the Year in that league. And that's really your marquee matchup in this year's challenge.
DeShields, there was no doubt she wanted to shoot. A little bit of street ball there from DeShields. Sample, Hooper wide open. How is she that wide open? She goes into traffic, and DeShields able to offset it. I think Hooper was shocked she was that wide open.
Yeah, almost overthought that. She was wide open for 3, dribbles into traffic. DeShields gets a hand up and disrupts the shot enough to miss it, and now the Tar Heels are going to go back to the line.
Gray will draw the foul, and Gray will shoot 2.
Yeah, that's something Hooper's just going to be kicking herself. She was wide open for 3. She knocks that down. It's a 5-point game. Now we're at the other end. Alicia Gray's going to go to the line for a chance to put the Tar Heels back up double figures.
The left-hander, Gray.
And just her 3rd point of the night, but perfectly capable of scoring in bunches. We mentioned she had 30 against UCLA, and for 3 of the 4 freshmen, just 4 weeks into the season to have been ACC Rookie of the Year already, shows you just how deep this class is.
Shows you exactly why Sylvia Hatchell was so excited. The future is bright here in Chapel Hill. They're up 10 on Nebraska. Terrio. Katie marked by Mavunga. Good backdoor cut there by Hooper, and Hooper now with her 14th point.
And that's just a beautiful drop down pass from Terrio, and you can see she's so much more comfortable when she's got Hooper out there to distribute to, and they're able to use some back cuts, find a mismatch, and Hooper easy layup over Washington.
Speaking of comfortable, Washington has started to settle in, dribbling behind her back, a lot of confidence. She'll miss that 3. Now Nebraska down 8 can cut into that deficit. Good cut back, Laudermill with the leaner.
Just a little out of control by Laudermill there, and I think they're going to get Mavunga pushing off, and they're not going to be happy when they realize this foul is on the Tar Heels. Just a second for Mavunga, though, so not anything too traumatic if you're UNC, but just sort of a weird play in traffic where she's kind of off balance, and she uses that off arm to steady herself and pushes off and displaces the defender.
Coleman will check in for Washington after Washington missed that 3. Sample drops it to Terrio, back to Sample. Sample, good first step, and all the way around. Mavunga can't finish around the rim, needs to finish that one. An errant outlet pass, though, by Mavunga, one back by Nebraska. Gray trying to mark Terrio. Terrio putting some pressure on. She's open. She'll drop it back to Hooper, wide open from 3. Not quite there. Hooper with the rebound, all alone, left-handed. And Hooper now with 14.
Yeah, what a hustle play. She put that 3 up and immediately knew it was off. She gets the one-handed rebound, and she's got Nebraska back within 6 as we'll go to this first called media timeout.
The Tar Heels on top, 42-36. Back with more here from Chapel Hill. Welcome back here to Chapel Hill Carmichael Arena, the Big Ten ACC Challenge in North Carolina on top of Nebraska 42-36. Their all-time leading scorer, Ivory Latta, now an assistant coach coming off an all-star season in the WNBA.
Yeah, just an exciting addition to this coaching staff for North Carolina. And, you know, if you're a freshman point guard like Jessica Washington, to be able to come in as a true freshman and have the tutelage of perhaps the greatest point guard to ever play at this school and one of the greatest in the history of college basketball, is, you know, something you dream of.
And her passion is just contagious. You know, she just has that smile that will light up a room. And in contrast to Andrew Calder, who doesn't smile a whole lot, nicest guy in the world, but you love seeing that smile over there with Ivory Latta.
Yeah, he likes having Ivory there to be the cheerleader on the sideline as McDaniel knocks down another 18-footer.
She's got 19, 6 away from her career high. What a great dribble drive there by Nebraska, answering the goal from Laudermill.
Yeah, Nebraska significantly more aggressive on offense here in the second half, and it really shows they're just a different team with Hooper on the floor.
Gray behind the arc, left-handed and in. Give North Carolina 3. Gray, number 15.
Big three there from the freshman as Nebraska's starting to get a little wind in its sails, and to keep this lead at about 9 is big for the Tar Heels.
Sample over to Hooper. Hooper's got 14. It was Katie who had one of those buckets right before that last break. Laudermill. Inbound by McDaniel.
Yeah, you see there Nebraska just not sending anybody the offensive glass to try to cut off that Tar Heel transition game. But
great backdoor pass there to DeShields. A little lazy though, and short.
Yeah, a lot like Hooper on that 3. I think she was more open than she expected to be, and Katie traveled.
We're going to take another break here from Carmichael. Diamond DeShields, along with McDaniel, have been powerful. North Carolina 47, Nebraska 38, right here on ESPN 3. Tar Heels on top, 47-38. Dean Linke along with Bobby Hundley, part of the Big Ten ACC Challenge here at Carmichael Arena. Nebraska came out attacking, but you said it, North Carolina able to hang on to that 9-10 point lead.
Yeah, even up right now, just an 8-7 advantage here in the second half for Nebraska. But that 3 from Gray is just so big because you could really start to feel the tide turning. Nebraska starting to gain some confidence, and then just right back to a 9-point lead on that 3-pointer by Alicia Gray. And, you know, that's the kind of game it's going to be the rest of the way, is just this push and pull of, can we get it inside of 6? Can we get it to a one-possession game? Whereas North Carolina trying to get sort of that artificial double-digit line where in your mind it just feels like you've got enough cushion, whereas it gets down to a 1-2 possession game, you start to get a little anxious.
North Carolina also feeling the energy from Sylvia Hatcho, who came by today for part of the pregame talk as she continues to sit out because of health issues, dealing with leukemia. We wish her the best. Good drive there by Gray, and Gray now gives North Carolina an 11-point lead. Terrio drops it into Katie. Katie will drop it over to Sample. Going the other way, pushed by Gray. Stop and pop way too long. McDaniel with yet another rebound. McDaniel thought about going up with it. Drops it out here now to Coleman. Coleman with a great pass inside. McDaniel again. McDaniel trying to go over to her left. Thought she was fouled, Bobby.
Yeah, she's drawing double teams now because they saw she's got 19 points. She was 8 of 8 from the field before that last missed 3. And if you're Nebraska, we're not going to let her continue to beat us. And that's how Alicia Gray has kind of stepped into the role with the Shields on the bench, for, just getting a breather. It's Gray's now time to shine, and now we've got Mavunga back in the game. It's just really interchanging parts for the Tar Heels. You've got a 4-5 player, McDaniel, off, and you got another just natural, talented post-offensive player, Mavunga, back on.
Roundtree also in the game now. Mavunga, Coleman, Roundtree, Gray, and Bryant in for the Tar Heels. It's Sample, Jeffrey, Katie, Terrio, and Hooper. That one short by Roundtree, trying to make something happen. Her minutes going down here as Washington gets more action as well.
Yeah, she struggled from 3 here early on in 13, but if they can get her going, this team can really take off because she's such a threat from outside.
Jeffrey gave good minutes for Nebraska in the first half, and all of a sudden Hooper not able to hit from downtown. She bombed 3 early in this one and then got into foul trouble and really has not come back.
Yeah, it just seems to be pressing a little bit, is trying to just make up all the missed time. And there's Roundtree connecting from way behind the arc.
You just talked about it. I'll tell you what, this guy's got a crystal ball. And you said it, if Roundtree gets hot, the Tar Heels could be dangerous, and they're now up 14. Sample lowers the shoulder, drives in, and finishes it.
And that's been Sample's best move tonight, is when she can just get a head of steam and attack the rim. She's been able to finish more often than not, but she hasn't really had a lot of opportunities so far.
Wide open. Bryant was there, and pass by Mavunga not on target.
Yeah, Huskers over pursuing right around the foul line extended, and a lot of switching there as Bryant just comes wide open, but Mavunga unable to find her.
So North Carolina up 12, 13:40 left here in this one. Terrio marked by Roundtree. Roundtree just hit the 3 for the Tar Heels. Sample drops it over to Terrio. Good cut here again by Katie. Katie will drop it out wide to Jeffrey. Jeffrey for 3, not on target. Good rebound by the Tar Heels. That's Bryant crashing the boards.
Bryant's another player like Butts that's just has a level of athleticism that Nebraska just can't simulate in practice. And right now, Hooper back off the floor, just maybe recharging her batteries a little bit. She's only got those 2 fouls, but like you said, has been just a little bit out of sorts here in the second half. And Nebraska at some point's got to start cutting into this lead, because maintaining is not going to work the rest of the half.
Gray. Perfect fake, and what a finish around the basket. And Gray now with 9.
Well, the thing that really just jumps out at you about these freshmen is their body control is just off the charts. No, just never out of control with the ball.
Terrio. Hooper's gone to the bench, and Terrio from about 6 able to finish.
Nice fake and just bury the little 8-footer.
Terrio with 4. Hooper on the bench with 14. She's checking back in, though, for Coach Yori. Wide open is Bryant, and this time Bryant able to handle it and finish. A 14-point lead again for North Carolina.
And that's the danger of doubling the post, which Nebraska's done most of the night, is that eventually you're going to find some streakers to the basket that are open, and Bryant is able to convert that time.
Good cut by Terrio. 2 white jerseys there. One of them will foul, though. It's Mavunga, number 1, I think will get it.
Terrier's been a lot better here this last stretch, as she's just playing with a little more confidence, able to get the defender in the air, take the contact.
It's the 3rd foul, though, on Mavunga. DeShields has 2 fouls.
Yeah, really nobody in foul trouble right now. Mavunga, the only player in the game with more than 2, so should be a pretty clean finish.
Shields trying to hang with Hooper, and Hooper now back on track, 16 points. 16 for Hooper. To Shields the other way. Boy, she can handle it. Dropped outside to Roundtree, and the Tar Heel bench was up, hoping for 3, not on target. Pushing Laudermill with the whistle. And Laudermill will get the and 1.
Yeah, aggressive to the hole like Washington has been for the Tar Heels. Laudermill there for the Huskers, and she's got this back within 10 and a chance to get it inside of 10 after the break.
Mavunga strong over to Bryant, and the Tar Heels up by 10. Nebraska huddle here. Coach Yori trying to get Nebraska back into this one. North Carolina on top by 10, but a good finish by Laudermill here right before the break.
Yeah, just aggressive take to get to the line. Able to convert, that's just a bonus really when you're going full speed, you're taking contacts, you're just hoping to get to the line. If you can get 2 on top of it, that's all the better. And Nebraska hanging around right now, unable to really get past that 8-point hump, and really at this point they've been unable to turn North Carolina over. That's a lot of the times when North Carolina struggles, is their inability to hold on to the ball. But right now, Nebraska's struggling to get any free points, and Laudermill is going to try to get them back within 9 here at the line.
Laudermill with 7 points on the evening, looking for 8, and she'll get it. And they pulled within 9. North Carolina's had a 14-point lead here in the second half. Washington back in. Started the second half, took an ill-advised 3, went to the bench and sat next to Ivory Latta and Andrew Calder and the rest of the fine coaching staff here at North Carolina. Now she's back in to Shields. Right in front of the 3-point line, not quite on target. Rebound by Hooper. She'll outlet it to Katie. Katie now will drop it to Laudermill. Laudermill looking for direction from Coach Yori. They signal a play. Terrio marked by Roundtree. Hooper with a good cut. Hooper now going down low. Good block by Mavunga.
Design play to attack Mavunga, who's got 3 fouls, but again, just so under control from the freshman to stand her ground with 3 fouls, make a clean block, and not pick up that 4th.
Katie, she'll drive and then drop it back out to Laudermill. Laudermill for 3. That one would have been key for Nebraska. Great rebound, though, by Katie to keep it alive for the team in red. Terrio now marked by Roundtree.
A little unlucky for UNC there. The long rebound. Nebraska had really sent all but 1 back, but the long rebound is able to extend the possession.
Sadie Murrin into the game off that break for Coach Connie Yori. Yori comes in at Nebraska with a record of 221 and 136. And part of the success has also been playing in front of that great home crowd in Lincoln. I'll tell you, the fans have been great in Nebraska, always among the top 20.
Yeah, they're great anyway, but with that new arena, they're averaging almost 6,000 a game here early in the season.
Hooper, little off target. Hooper now 6 of 14 from the field, and DeShields also strong. So the two players we put the spotlight on, they came out, they delivered, but a little cold both for DeShields and Hooper of late.
Yeah, it's funny to think of, we're talking about Hooper like she's having an off night. She's got 16 points and 6 boards, but 6 of 15 from the field, and really struggled after that just flurry to start the game.
Washington looking for a seam, finds Roundtree. Here's McDaniel. Daniel stuck on 19, foul on the floor. And they'll give it to number 21. Sadie Murn, the sophomore guard, averaging 4 points and 1.3 rebounds a game. Checking back in here now is Haley Sample for Murn.
Yeah, Nebraska with a little bit of a sagging man there, trying to neutralize the mismatch there, and Tar was able to find DeShields guarded by the smaller player and draw the foul.
McDaniel attempts another three. She's made one already. That one not on target. Laudermill will drive right at the elbow. Another rebound here from Mavunga. She is a beast down low for the Tar Heels.
Just nothing happening on the boards offensively for Nebraska as McDaniel gets wide open for the layup.
Great pass inside from DeShields, and now McDaniel with 21, 4 short of her career high. Sample too strong. And the Tar Heels crash the boards. They're up 11.
Washington wide open here on the opposite wing. But there's McDaniel.
And McDaniel hesitated just a moment, and then will miss it as Andrew Calder with his hands to his head. Dropped into Katie. Great defense backside by the point guard Washington. She'll drop it to DeShields. And DeShields a little bit too fancy. Roundtree was open on the other wing, needs to give it up.
And Calder just looks away in disgust because he knows that if that ball is just a fundamental bounce pass, it's an easy lay-in. Really, DeShields lucky that she traveled before she committed the charge because the Nebraska defender was there to take the contact. You see that look of DeShields understanding that she knows she screwed that up.
Sometimes fancy is not good, Bobby.
Certainly fancy and ineffective is never going to be better than fundamental and effective, but she makes up for it on the other end as she takes the foul. As Sample just gets that offhand extended into the throat. And Sample pleading her case, but not going to change anything about that call. Is just trying to create some space there. And DeShields rather takes it, draws the foul.
Mavunga, Roundtree, DeShields, Washington, and McDaniel on the court. DeShields, great drive, couldn't finish around the bucket, but cleaning it up there is Stephanie Mavunga. Mavunga now with 4.
And Coach Yori just slapped the scores table as if to say, how is that not something? Because there's so much contact on that initial drive. And then on the other end, only going to incense her further as a seemingly a touch foul is called.
Coach Yori, you talk about a grinder. We're talking about Sylvia Hatchell and what she's dealing with. And Coach Yori has this one underneath and a foul there on DeShields. Coach Yori has experienced some rough times as well, and knee surgery that went awry. And she was, I mean, I tell you what, it was touch and go there as you look at this play under the basket. And Coach Yori would come out in a crutch and throw the crutch down on the ground, but she's back finally healthy this year.
Yeah, I can imagine with a coach like her who's so active on the sidelines as Coach Hatchell has been for years at Carolina, and Coach Calder is in her stead. That's got to be just torture to not be able to really put your whole body into it. But Sample here at the line, just a good job to get DeShields off her feet and draw the contact and able to convert at the line.
Nebraska pulled within 11. Here comes Danielle Butts again, and Butts just so great defensively. Instant energy for Andrew Calder off the bench.
But turns it over as just a little bit just stirred up by Laudermill there, interfering with the inbound pass, and A little offense-defense sub for Nebraska here as Hooper goes on and Havers comes off.
Mentioned Ivory Ladd on the bench, but hard to forget Tracy Williams-Johnson now in her 15th year, and Billy Lee, the longtime Campbell coach, also a key part of Sylvia Hatchell's staff, working now with Andrew Calder.
Yeah, fortunate for the Tar Heels. You know, you only get 3 assistant coaches who are allowed to coach during the game, and when Coach Hatchell went down and Coach Calder had to step into the acting head coaching role, to have an 18-year Division I men's coach, veteran on your bench as your director of video services who can step right in and become a game coach is certainly a luxury that they've been excited to have. As Terrio goes to the line to try to get this back under 10 as time's starting to run a little short for the Huskers.
Terrio.
Yeah, the one thing that they were not able to do in the first half was to get to the line, get the Tar Heels to give them some free points, but that's 7 already for the Heels, so 8.5 minutes, and every foul is going to be foul shots the rest of the way for the Cornhuskers.
Nebraska within 9. 8:20 left in the game. Washington running the point, marked by Laudermill. A little bit of pressure. Washington able to hang on to it between her legs. Into Mavunga, wide open was Bryant underneath. They'll drop it to Roundtree. Now from the right side, it'll spin around and in. A big 3 for the Tar Heels. Back again on top by 12. Sample. And another turnover.
Looking for the drive and kick to the 3-point option in Hooper, and Hooper had driven as she was looking to get the drop off for the lay-in.
A big 3, though, by Roundtree. A great pass. Mavunga will find her behind the arc, and Roundtree gives North Carolina a 12-point lead. Number 18, North Carolina on top of number 15, Nebraska, 63-51. Dean Linke along with Bobby Hundley and so many key contributors here to the Tar Heels.
Yeah, it's just as McDaniel, who was just red hot to start this game. She's got 21. Just as she starts to cool off, Alicia Gray and Brittany Roundtree able to pick up the slack, and a couple of huge threes from Roundtree. And Mavunga has just been such a key player in the post, not only her own offense, she's got 6 points and 8 boards, but able to find people. She's got 3 assists, second on the team for the Tar Heels.
Connie Yori continues to give it to the referees. Her assistants Sunny Smallwood and Shimmy Gray Miller and Dana Finch. 63-51 North Carolina. Washington trying to get by Terrio. Drops it back to Roundtree. Roundtree with another 3 and just an inch off. Rebounded by Nebraska. They'll push it. Laudermill on the right side. Roundtree steps up. Laudermill will finish and one.
Such a good job to avoid the contact. The defender is set and ready to take the charge, but to step around it, get to the hole, and still make the layup. I mean, just look at this hard step. Roundtree can only reach, finishes, and once again, they've got it to 10. A foul shot can get it to 9. Can they somehow put together a few stops in a row as Coach Yorey is just continuing to plead her case to Joe Cunningham? Because she's got the 8-4 foul advantage right now, so it's working, and she still feels like she needs to get more.
(63-54) UNC as Nebraska has been able to pull it to within 9 here in the second half. Usually North Carolina will have the answer. DeShields 4 of 14 on the evening. And another 3 from Gray. She's got 14.
What a skip pass from Diamond DeShields to just effortlessly, one-handed, get that ball about 30 feet across the court, and then Hooper unable to corral that pass in traffic. It goes off her back, and again, Nebraska just can't get that stop after they've cut it to single digits.
Bobby, you're starting to see some frustration there by the senior leader, Hooper, who came out red hot those early threes, but she's now 7 of 16, just 18. 12 this half, though, for Gray on the other side for North Carolina.
Yeah, big 3 there, and, you know, again, she's sort of the soft-spoken one as she gets a little out of control there and commits the charge, but you know, you've got some pretty big personalities in this freshman group. I mean, with a name like Diamond DeShields, you're not going to be some hermit crab. You know, you're going to be out there. You know, your name's Diamond DeShields, but Alicia Gray a little bit more subdued. But man, her game is big, and it's doing the talking right now.
And that talk has given North Carolina a 12-point lead here at Carmichael. Several games going on as part of the 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge, both men and women across the country. The men's team, North Carolina up in East Lansing, as Hooper drives in. She thought she was bumped just a little bit, and another rebound there by Mavunga. Mavunga with 9 rebounds. Washington, she'll drive in, little leaner, and fouled by Katie, and Washington will go to the line.
Just sort of a little sloppy from both teams there, but Washington with the awareness that she's got a bit of a mismatch, and Katie's got the size on her, but she can get around her, and only able to commit the foul there. That's 3 on Katie.
.13 lead as Washington. 3 of 5 from the field. Makes her first free throw of the night. Misses the second. 67-54. UNC by 13. Terrio. Gray does a good job to come back, get her hip to hip. Make Terrio pick up her dribble. Tough pass to Sample.
Nebraska's got to find somebody to knock down a 3. They're 0 for 6 here in the half after making 6 in the first half.
Hooper again frustrated. Great defense by the Tar Heels. Here's DeShields. This time she keeps it simple, able to finish.
Just like that, North Carolina's pushed it back to 15, but Terrio gets one back in the floater.
(69-56). 5 minutes, 15 seconds left in this one. DeShields, great pass to Mavunga. Mavunga with a great fake. Gave herself just enough space with that fake and able to finish.
And Nebraska running out of chances now. Under 5 minutes to go. Got to get a couple of stops strung together, but just haven't been able to do it here in the second half.
Sample pushed by Gray. Didn't like the call.
And you see that again. That size up touch is going to be okay, but that second touch is an automatic whistle, and that's 10 team fouls now. So it's double bonus, 2 shots the whole way.
Sample will hit them both, and Coach Yorey will take a timeout here with 4:53 left in the game, and North Carolina up by 13.
Yeah, and you're going to see expect to see something different from Nebraska, whether it's pick up maybe some half-court traps, some full-court pressure, something to try to turn North Carolina over. You know, I mean, for a team that plays at the rate that North Carolina does, and they try to get 100 possessions a game, for them to only have 10 turnovers under 5 minutes to go in the game is pretty remarkable, and it's a big reason why Nebraska is stuck on 58 points.
Fans getting into it here at Carmichael. Andrew Calder with the troops. I want to thank the great SIDs of both these programs. Of course, Mark Kimmel for North Carolina, and Jeff Greesh, who's also on the call as part of the Cornhusker Sports Network, along with Matt Coatney, and actually serves as the assistant with Coach Yori for his 9-year-old son. So that combination has been together quite a long time. I want to thank Jeff. This one underneath here. McDaniel.
Well, that ability to find cutters open on the blocks all night for North Carolina has just been so dangerous.
Terrio back to Sample, 73-58. Terrio again back to Sample, out wide to Hooper. Hooper will stop and pop, and she's just not been on target here in the second half.
You're running out of opportunities if you're Nebraska, and you might see North Carolina well, there goes a three. I was going to say maybe a little bit more deliberate, try to milk a little bit of clock here with the ball, but Washington maybe a little bit of a freshman impulse there to hoist that up, and Terrio is going to have a shot.
Terrio short, another rebound for McDaniels, having herself a big-time game, sitting at 23 points. Another rebound as well. There's that patience you were talking about, but that patience leads to a turnover for the Tar Heels. They're on top 73-58 as you're watching the 2013 Big Ten ACC Challenge right here on ESPN3. North Carolina on top of Nebraska 73-58. The Tar Heels come in as the number 18 team in the country. Nebraska number 15, as we tab this as the youth of North Carolina, the experience of Nebraska, but the young players, North Carolina, playing like veterans.
Yeah, really playing beyond their years tonight. Just their ability to control the pace of this game, with the exception of that flurry early in the game where Hooper was just unconscious from three. They've really taken it to Nebraska, and again, just 13 turnovers, 17 assists for the Tar Heels. Nebraska has turned it over 21 times, just 10 assists. But they've got the ball, and you can bet that North Carolina is going to come out and try to get one last stop and maybe just try to kill this game off.
Nebraska will come out with Hooper, who has been a little handcuffed here in the second half, along with Sample, Terrio, Murrin. And into the game, Allie Havers as well, number 22. North Carolina has Washington, DeShields, Mavunga, McDaniel, and Gray. 73-58, time running out here on the Cornhuskers. Terrio airballs it, and that won't help the cause for Coach Yori.
And you see North Carolina came out in a little bit of a pressure situation to try to just start that possession in the backcourt, really make Nebraska use some clock to get into its offense, and really never got out of that funk to start the possession.
DeShields right down the middle, behind the back.
Again, just unnecessarily flashy there from DeShields, and I think they're going to send a sub to the bench there because that's twice now.
Roundtree looking to check in. A simple bounce pass to her left, and McDaniel would have tied her career high at 25. Hooper now from 3. Boy, I'll tell you what, Hooper's such a great shooter. Rare misses here in the second half for Hooper.
And she's such a big part of their offense. She takes such a high percentage of their shots that when she's off, it really affects this team.
She's 7 for 19, Bobby. Mavunga, she'll corral that ball like a football player. And there's number 25 for McDaniel, tying her career high and giving North Carolina a 75-58 lead. It's all Tar Heels.
Able to use that left hand to dribble and then switch with the crossover to be able to make the strong right hand layup on the block, and that's a good way to get your career high.
Her previous 25 was against Florida State last year, February 17th, and 2 minutes left. You got a feeling they might try to find McDaniel for one more. A whistle here in North Carolina, looking to get their 7th victory. And boy, coming into this game, I think if you ask the women's basketball prognosticators, they felt like that experience of Nebraska could make a difference and help the Big Ten school, the Cornhuskers, but it's been all North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina's really controlled this game, and Nebraska has not played a lot away from home. They played one game at Utah, which was relatively close, but then this is really their first big test on the road, and sometimes you can get a little comfortable at home, and this was a business trip for Nebraska. They left late last night. They're going to be back home tonight, but really a nice win, a nice resume building win for North Carolina as we look a few months down the road as they start to battle for seeding in the NCAA tournament.
I got to admit, I'm a little disappointed that McDaniel's on the bench with Andrew Calder. Got to leave her in there, Bobby.
Well, he's probably disappointed that she reached in and committed that foul and let Nebraska get back to the foul line.
And that will trump my disappointment for sure. And Roundtree trying to add 3. Mavunga with another rebound, a great drop step. Tough finish, though. Rebounded by Gray. She'll try to get 2. Nip from behind, the block for Nebraska, and they'll come out of it. Nebraska still showing that heart that a Coach Yori team always has, but they will come up short here in Chapel Hill. Laudermill's been a spark in the second half as you look for bright spots for Nebraska.
I think Coach Calder's just going to settle his troops down here with 109 to go, and he's going to use the full timeout, so he's got a message to send. His Charles got a little sloppy there the last minute or so, but a really solid performance on the boards from Mavunga. She wasn't able to score a ton, but she's in double figures of rebounds now, and just really a presence down there on the post.
It's the voice of Bobby Hunley. And Bobby, we started the show talking about how Sylvia Hatchell is doing. Of course, she's lost her hair as well. The players even helping with a wig, but she showed up at the speech here today, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and this is still her program. Her fingerprints are all over all these players. She's one of the winningest coaches in the history of the sport at the women's level or the men's level. She's just been inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame, which I know was just a true honor for her. And, the day that Coach Calder addressed the media for the first time, when it was announced that she would be taking some time away from the team to focus on her health, he said, "I'm going to coach this team through Coach Hatchell's eyes." And, he's up there. He's calling the plays. He's calling the defenses right now. But, he sees himself as a vessel of Sylvia Hatchell right now. And she's certainly somewhere watching this game very excited about her young team. But she's probably also frustrated about that foul that McDaniel committed.
And we certainly send a vessel of support to Sylvia Hatchell. As I said earlier, it's not even about just basketball. One of the quality people out there, Sylvia Hatchell. And We wish her well. Delighted to hear that she addressed the team today. Tar Heels up 15. Washington, and she took one extra step, and Ivory Latta off the bench didn't like that. She thought she was bumped.
Yeah, if there's one thing that is perhaps the biggest pet peeve of any coach for any official, it's that when they officiate the game differently when the outcome has been decided than they do the rest of the game. You know, they feel like their players are out there playing for 40 minutes. They want the officials to officiate the same way for 40 minutes, and they feel like if Washington got bumped there, that should be a foul. She should go to the line. But a real impressive performance from North Carolina tonight. You know, the ACC, as you mentioned earlier, has dominated this format of the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and you know this league has only gotten deeper and stronger. They've added an absolute powerhouse of the sport in Notre Dame in the expansion. You know, Duke is a team that's going to contend for the top 5 all year. It's really as strong a women's league as there is in the country, and North Carolina is certainly going to celebrate a signature win for the early part of the season for the league and for this program.
And as they count it down here at Carmichael, indeed a big win for North Carolina, 75-62 behind a tying career-high 25 from McDaniel.
Yeah, McDaniel was so good in that first half, didn't miss from the field, and North Carolina's ability to just control the game throughout was the difference tonight.
So for our producer, director Kyle Lang, our stage manager Kyle Straub, and the great crew here at Carmichael Arena, my analyst is Bobby Hunley. I'm Dean Linke saying so long from Carmichael Arena in Chapel Hill, where your final score is North Carolina 75, Nebraska 62. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, log on to watchespn.com or download the Watch ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN, North Carolina 75, Nebraska 62.